Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajacharya Ashtotara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4. Entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 26. King Pranjana goes to the forest to hunt. And we're on text 4. Chachara mrigayam tatra tripta ateshu karmukuhu Vihaya Jayam Atad Aryam Ham Mriga Vyasana Lalasaha Chara Mrigayam Tatra Dripta Ateshu Karmukaha Vihaya Jayam Atad Aryam Mrigavyasana Lalasaha Chara Mrigayam Tatra Tripta ateshu karmakaha. Vihaya jayam atad arham. Mrigavyasana lalasaha. Chara, executed. Mrigayam, hunting. Tatra, there. Triptaha, being proud. Atta, having taken. Ishu, arrows. Karmukaha, bow. Vihaya, giving up. Jayam, his wife. Atat arham, although impossible. Mriga, hunting. Vyasana, evil activities. Lalasaha, being inspired by. Translation. It was almost impossible for King Puranjana to give up the company of his queen even for a moment. Nonetheless, on that day, being very much inspired by the desire to hunt, he took up his bow and arrow with great pride and went to the forest, not caring for his wife. Purport. One form of hunting is known as woman hunting. A conditioned soul is never satisfied with one wife. Those whose senses are very much uncontrolled especially try to hunt for many women. King Puranjana's abandoning the company of his religiously married wife is representative of the conditioned soul's attempt to hunt for many women for sense gratification. Wherever a king goes, he is supposed to be accompanied by his queen, but when the king or conditioned soul becomes greatly overpowered by the desire for sense gratification, he does not care for religious principles. Instead, with great pride, he accepts the bow and arrow of attachment and hatred. Our consciousness is always working in two ways, the right way and the wrong way. When one becomes too proud of his position, influenced by the mode of passion, he gives up the right path and accepts the wrong one. Kshatriya kings are sometimes advised to go to the forest to hunt ferocious animals, just to learn how to kill, but such forays are never meant for sense gratification. Killing animals to eat their flesh is forbidden for human beings. Omega Nityavarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulan Maditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Kaditavachalam Pangam Langayate Gadim Yakipatamaham Vande Shugurunti Taranam Vancha Kapladibishta Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So read the translation again. It was almost impossible for King Pranjan to give up the company of his queen, even for a moment. And nonetheless, on that day, being very much inspired by the desire to hunt, he took up his bow and arrow with great pride and went to the forest, not caring for his wife. Gregorian. So before we discuss the verse and purport, I'm sure most of the devotees, if not everybody, knows it's the month of Purushottam Mas, the extra month. So my spiritual master just he sent out or posted some information about Purushottam Mas. So I just thought we'd read that to get an idea. So both the Gregorian, is that how you say? Yeah, Gregorian and Vedic calendars comprise 12 months. But whereas the number of days in each month varies in the Gregorian calendar, the Vedic months are all of the same duration. About 14 days from the new moon to the full moon, and from the full moon to the new. The day of the new moon is known as Amavasya, and the full moon day is known as Purnima. And just as the Gregorian calendar is periodically adjusted during years known as leap years, the Vedic calendar is also adjusted every 3 years. But whereas the Gregorian adjustment adds 1 day to the month of February, the Vedic adjustment adds 1 month, known as the Adhika Mas, to the other 12. Adhika means extra and Mas means month. The word Adhika also means greater, and Adhika Mas, also known as Purushottam Mas, the month of Purushottam, Vishnu or Krishna, is considered to be the greatest of all months of the Vedic calendar. As related in the Padma Purana, a very long time ago the great sage Narada Muni visited the incarnation of Godhead Narayan Rishi at his ashram in Badrika and humbly requested him to explain something that would help both householders and renunciates attain the supreme abode of the Lord. Lord Narayan agreed and began to explain the glories of the month of Purushottam, which he said was fully potent to grant not only all material happiness, but also qualify one to return back to Godhead at the end of life. Narada Muni had never heard about that particular month, and he was very eager to learn about it, including the duties one should perform. Krishna, in the chapter entitled Prayers to the Personified Vedas, indicates that the Vedas, which emanated from the breathing of Mahavishnu, serve him in personified forms. The Supreme Lord is a person, and his emanations have personal forms too. The personified form of earth is known as Bhumi Devi, and the Ganges personified is known as Ganga Devi, and the personality of the sun is known as Surya Dev. Likewise, the Vedic months have personified forms. So, Lord Narayan told Narada Muni that one day, by the arrangement of providence, an extra month appeared in this world. People who are often afraid, or at least suspicious of strangers, turn their backs on the extra month personified. Thinking her to be inauspicious, dirty, and untouchable. Unhappy, she went to Vaikuntha to explain her situation to Lord Vishnu. Falling at his lotus feet, she appealed to him. Crying and crying, she said that within the whole material manifestation, she alone was unprotected without even a name. Lamenting, I want to die, she fainted at the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Vishnu requested Garuda to fan the extra month, and when she regained consciousness, he caught her by the hand and brought her straight to Goloka Vrindavan. She was still crying loudly, and Sri Krishna expressed his surprise that anyone would cry upon entering Goloka Vrindavan. the rarely attained supreme abode. After paying his obeisances to Lord Krishna, Vishnu explained the miserable condition of the extra month and begged Krishna to please protect her. Now, one might wonder why Lord Vishnu, who is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not give her protection himself. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 28, we find that all the incarnations of the Lord are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of Sri Krishna. As such, Krishna's expansions also take pleasure in his service and association. So Lord Vishnu showed compassion and brought the extra month to Sri Krishna. Lord Krishna praised Vishnu for bringing him the extra month and said that because Vishnu had already accepted her, he would accept her too. Not only that, but he would also infuse her with all of his opulences, potencies, and divine qualities. Named after me, Sri Krishna said, this month will be famous in this world as the Purushottam Mas, and I myself will become her protector. Everyone should offer respect to her and worship her. She will be as qualified as I am to give any type of benediction to the worshipper. Just by worshipping her, one can burn all of one's past sinful reactions to ashes, enjoy a blissful life in the material world, and at the end return back to Godhead. Those who perform austerities, observe vows of celibacy, engage in pious activities, or fast for their entire life cannot attain my Goloka. But simply by practicing devotional service during the sacred month of Purushottam, anyone can easily perfect his life. The Lord gave a specific list of the activities to be performed during the month of Purushottam. Chanting his holy name, especially the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Singing bhajans glorifying his activities, studying Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, especially the 15th chapter, which deals with Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. Given in charity according to the directions given in the 17th chapter of the Gita, and offering ghee lamps daily. If possible, one should also bathe in a holy river at sunrise, offer tulsi leaves and flowers to the deity, circumambulate the temple, and worship the tulsi plant. Also, one should try to rise early, eat simply, observe celibacy, minimize one's bodily demands, and be careful not to blaspheme or offend anyone, especially devotees, Brahmins, saintly persons, cows, and the scriptures. Upon hearing Sri Narayan Rishi's glorification of the Purushottam month, Narada Muni prostrated himself again and again at the lotus feet of the Lord. So we're almost done here. Exclaiming, "Oh, this Purushottam month is the best of all months, the best of all kinds of vows and austerities. Even if one just hears her glories faithfully, one will achieve devotional service to the Supreme Lord Purushottama, and all of one's sinful reactions will be nullified. One who performs the Purushottam vow and worships her properly will achieve unlimited merit and thus attain Goloka." Picking up his veena, Narada Muni continued, "O Lord, now my heart and mind are completely satisfied. All glories unto you, all glories unto you, all glories unto the sacred month of Purushottam." Hare Krishna, yours in service, Giraj Swami. This is, my spiritual master posted this about Purushottam Mas. So, alright, there you go. Thanks. So here, within the purport, Prabhupada makes many different points, but one of the points at the very end of the purport, he says that killing animals to eat their flesh is forbidden for human beings. So this is just a basic principle of human life, of say human culture, or civilized life, and that one doesn't eat animals. And although it's very simple and basic and yeah, but so many people don't follow it. And specifically, we could say, okay, well, they're all innocent and they don't know. But specifically within the religious world, so many don't follow it. Big leaders, like the biggest. The biggest leaders of these different groups don't follow this very basic principle. Like when everybody it's funny because what I'm about to say, I mean, I suspect most people would know exactly who I'm talking about, but specifically I'm thinking of this quote from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he was explaining to his disciples that, in many cases you shouldn't, if you're going to be critical towards somebody, like specifically like those other religious figures who are, say, misleading people, then he said that you shouldn't use their name. But what he said was that what you could do, or what you should do, is that you could describe their activities. And he said you could just like, you don't say a cow, but you say a four-legged animal who has horns, who gives milk. Anyways, that's what he said. So anyways, when practically anyone in the whole entire world thinks of Buddhism, they largely think of a particular individual, and yeah, I mean, as far as I've heard, I don't know, maybe he's changed. We could hope, but many people have confirmed, and he's openly said, "Okay, I eat meat," which is strange, because the very basic, one of the main tenets of Buddhism is nonviolence, which specifically, I mean, Buddha came specifically. I mean, what is the reason he came for? He came because everybody was sacrificing these animals and eating them, so he came to protect the animals. Just like, what's that devotee's name? I think it's Jayadev Goswami. He sings about the different incarnations. So he sings and he glorifies Buddha as one of them. Oh, you came and you had mercy on the poor animals, innocent animals, and you bewildered the atheists. So. And whatever particular religious leaders, they have a hard time following this. So you could say that the Hare Krishna movement is largely, if not the only one, leading the way in this very basic principle of not eating meat. So because sometimes devotees say, okay, Hare Krishna movement, it's the only, real saving grace for humanity, which of course, we should accept. But just on this very basic, like, don't eat meat, I mean, who's going to lead them at least in that very basic way? I mean, so we, require anybody who gets initiated, and we very much push this idea that you shouldn't eat meat. Anybody who comes in, they're going to know that. We don't agree with that. We don't accept that, because even if, like, I was going to one church before I started coming to the temple, and one of their tenants, one of their founders, the main founder, they were vegetarian, and they really pushed this point. But as far as I saw in the particular, talking with people and observing, things, it was a lot of people are still vegetarian within that church, but it's not like heavily emphasized like we emphasize it. Of course, prasadam. We say be vegetarian, and then more supposedly offer your food. So here also it mentions King Puranjana's state. He said that he was so attached to his wife that he couldn't give up her company even for a moment. So that's like real, when you're really attached to, that's when you're really attached to somebody. You can't give it up for a moment, their company. My sister Macy, she has a son, Kingsley, and generally, mother is attached to her kids, her son or daughter, and vice versa, the children are attached to the mother. But this, my nephew's so attached. He's so attached to my sister. Like, she goes to work every day, she's a nurse, but she goes, and then, she's gone for like 5-10 minutes, and then he'll call her oh, hey, where are you? You know, he's about maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7. He says, oh, where are you? And she goes, oh, I'm at work. I'm going to work. So then, my mother's helping taking care of him, and then he'll ask my mother, oh, when is my mom going to call? And then my mom says, well, same time every day, 9:30 at breakfast and 1, same time. And then throughout the day, he'll be asking, oh, where's my mom? When is my mom coming back? And, I don't take it as he has some, because some people think, oh, does he have some kind of, mental problem or something? I don't take it as that. I think he's just really attached to her. My mother said that, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of mothers, but Macy, she wins the contest in attachment to her son, in terms of what she saw. Anyways, so this is a sign of attachment. So similar to this king, he couldn't live without his queen even for a moment. But somehow or other, it said that here he left her to go hunt. Kind of rewind a little bit, but there was, there's fires going on now within, fires going on. Oregon, I've heard there's many fires. And about 10 years ago, there's a fire here in SanDiego, and people were being warned, okay, you got to evacuate. Now, some people, they don't want to evacuate. They say, no, I'm going to stay here. This is my house. And so, but this particular person, there was 2 women, and they had 2 sons. And the firemen were coming and said, you have to evacuate. You have to leave your house. But they didn't really take it so seriously, which say is a symptom of the mode of ignorance. But they didn't take it so seriously. So then the firemen came and they said, you have to come out of your house. So their 2 sons were sleeping in the house. So they came out, and the firemen were there, and these 2 women said, we want to go back and get our sons and get our cats, sons and cats. Probably. So the firemen, interesting enough, because my mother actually personally knew, or she knew someone who knew this person. She was talking to these 2 women about what happened. So apparently the fire was getting close. It didn't engulf the house yet, but it was getting close. So the firemen and whatever, he said, no, you can't go get your sons. You can't get your sons, and you can't get your cat. You have to come with us. The fire is going to kill you too. And these 2 women listened to him. They listened to him. And these, my mother was speaking to these people, and how can you, they felt, I don't know what they felt afterwards, but I'm sure they felt some regret if they're healthy. Yeah. But these people, my mother was saying, she was, how is she was having a hard time conceiving this, how can someone do that? And my mother was saying that, if my children were in there, I'm not, to hell with you, I'm going to get my kids, And Macy was also saying, my sister, if someone's telling me, oh, you can't go get kings, forget about you, I'm going in there. I don't care if I die, I'm going to try to save my children. Because there was a chance that they could have been saved. In relation to, parents being attached to their children, they can't live with them without a moment. Obviously, some are more attached to other. Some mothers are, say, more advanced than others. There was another. Don't mean to tell you all types of, but there was another one where this last one in this category. But there was a woman, and she had 4 children, and she was smoking a cigarette, and she didn't put the cigarette out, and she went to sleep. And then, I don't even know how it happened, but the whole house caught on fire. 3 of the children died. One of them was saved. And this woman was so disturbed and so just heartbroken from this that she never really recovered. She wouldn't even talk. She had a hard time even talking. So you could say that these relationships that people have in this world, to be attached is a sign of affection. It's a sign of healthy moral compass, and it's that's what people do. They become attached. So just as I would say that largely these mistakes that these people made, they're in the mode of ignorance. They weren't thinking clearly for whatever reason. So similarly, if somebody on any level tries to invest if they extend themselves to us and they trust us and they want help from us, we have to be very conscious, be very careful, and very sharp, clear thinking, trying to help people. Or else, they could also be, burnt up by material existence. Spiritual master has a very grave duty to protect his, children. So this king, he was very attached. He couldn't leave her for a moment, but somehow he did, and he went hunting. And Prabhupada says that this hunting he compares it to women hunting, which is a very common, super common, sorry to say, but super common thing nowadays, woman hunting. And due to the advent of modern technology, this woman hunting they became more expert in this sick game, which it is sick. It's absolutely sick. And as Prabhupada says here, conditioned soul, they're not satisfied with one woman. They want many women. It's woman hunting. Therefore, woman hunting. They can't control their senses. I was talking with one of my relatives, and she was telling me how, just to illustrate this point, she was telling me how she was married to her husband, and she was at work one day, and it was Halloween, so she dressed up as Snow White. Anyways, whatever. But she dressed up, and she was waiting for her husband to come and pick her up. And he never showed up, because they were going to go to a Halloween party, so never showed up. So then, some time passed, and then some of her friends came and said, "Oh, I saw your husband, and he was with another woman. He didn't come pick you up, he was with another woman." So then this relative of mine, she went to the party, dressed up, a big party. And then this, the husband walks in with a woman around his arm. That's really bad. It's terrible. That is so traumatic for anyone, a woman, for anyone to experience something like that. It's very difficult. Some people don't even recover, experiencing such things. But anyways, he walked in, and the woman was around his arm, and then this relative of mine, she turned to her friend and said, "Oh, is she dressed like a prostitute because it's Halloween, or she always dressed like that?" And then this friend of hers, "Oh, she always dressed like that, Anyways, it was the marriage didn't work out. Over time, there was great realization that this isn't going to work out. But I was talking to this person, and then I was telling them that, well, you could look at it as that, God, or he gave you a very, you could gain something from this, a lesson that you kind of the whole kind of romantic bubble, the everything's so great in this world, it pops, and you lose faith in this idea that everybody spends their life in trying to make things perfect in relationship with their relationships, romantic relationships, and it could urge you to actually turn towards God. Could urge you for that. Of course, a lot of people, they just, like I said, they don't recover, and they go in the mode of ignorance, and they, self-destruct. But it could propel you in the right direction. So, and one last relative kind of thing to illustrate this is that my great-grandmother, my mother's father's mother, really, probably one of my favorite grandmothers, but super pious lady, religious, vegetarian woman. She was a part of the Seventh-day Adventists, but super, just really nice person. And years ago, her first husband, who eventually, he died at a young age, she got remarried, but the first husband was a bit of a rascal. Actually was, anyways, from this story you could see he's a bit of a rascal in the sense that one particular day or night, specifically night, her husband brought another woman home. And, she spent the night there. And interesting enough, as my great-grandmother, she knew about this. And what did she do the next morning? I can't believe it. It's absolutely inconceivable. No, she was making him breakfast. Absolutely inconceivable. That, okay, this is my husband, and the guy's being a rascal, bringing another woman home, and I don't know what she was thinking exactly, but that's what I heard. So Prabhupada, he tells. She didn't poison the breakfast? No, she didn't poison the breakfast. No, but Prabhupada tells a similar story, and he tells. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't hear that one. Okay, Prabhupada tells a similar story of this man. He said he's kind of he was married, and then the wife was saying, "Oh, you look kind of morose. Why you look very unhappy and this and that, and is there anything I could do for you?" Because she's serving him, and he was very shameless, and he said, "Well, tell the truth, I've been thinking about this very famous prostitute in town, and I would like to be with her, but I'm morose because I don't have the money to do it." So then this wife, she went out and she started serving this prostitute, cleaning up, how this and that kind of menial service. And then the prostitute, "Oh, what are you doing?" She said, "Oh, well, my husband, he wants to enjoy with you, but we don't really have the money, so I was thinking we could, kind of make some deal here or something." And this prostitute, she was, wanted to teach him a lesson. So over time, the prostitute, "Okay, we'll send your husband, and I'm going to teach him a lesson." So then the husband came, and apparently, whatever the system was, that there was some type of meal and cooked, and then the prostitute was serving the man, the dinner table, dining table, and then she had three pots, 3 plates, and one was whatever, gold, one was silver, one was iron, and then he was wondering, he was getting the preparations on these different plates, and he was wondering, what is this all about? Why is there 3 different material plates here? And so somehow they started communicating about that, the man and the prostitute, and then the prostitute asked him, "Oh, so do you tell a big difference between any of these? Is there a difference between any of these food you're eating off of different plates?" And then the man said, "No difference." And then it was understood that similarly you're trying to enjoy me, and you're trying to enjoy this woman, that woman, this woman. It's all the same. So she told him, "Go home." So apparently he understood something. But so
what did he understand?
Well, as far as I understand, Prabhupada doesn't go into so much.
He says that
Here, maybe you could pass him the mic.
this way
Yeah.
instead of that woman.
Yeah.
But it's all the same.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Just pop that person.
Yeah.
Pop this woman. So why are you wasting time?
Yeah. So he's saying, so Maharaj is saying that what did this man understand? Well, that you're seeking this pa, that pa, this woman, that woman. It's all the same, Punash charva the charvananam. Sex, it's all the same, same. So so that's the idea. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he was very empowered and very concerned that people become trained how to be proper human beings, not be woman hunters and whatever, meat eaters, woman hunters, gamblers, and intoxicate, all these four-legged principles. He wanted to train people, and not only did he want to train people, but he specifically made arrangements for that. In the Bhagavatam it says, brahmachari gurukule vasandantra gurohitam, that brahmachari should be trained, a man should be trained from a very early age. Earlier the better. Well, not earlier the better, but about 5 years old onwards. Now, of course, a lot of men aren't trained from that age nowadays, but throughout the world, because Prabhupada set up Gurukuls, there are boys being trained, actually, in this way. And those of us who come later, better late than never, we could get our training too in the same way. That, how to control the senses, how to control the mind, how not to objectify women, how to see women as, like Chanaka Pandit said, learn a man sees woman as mother. So how to have the right vision, the vision of Krishna consciousness. And the more that we could ourselves become trained and then train others and try to support this whole system that Srila Prabhupada set up, the better for people, for the world. And of course it seems like, oh wow, this is very difficult. We're up against a big fight here. But that's okay. I mean, what's wrong with that? You had Arjuna and the 5 Pandavas, right, versus all the Kurus. There's a big difference there, in terms of how many. Or you have you had Balaram and I think a few others. Had these taking care of the armies of Jarasandha, I think, right? It's a big difference, big army versus small army. But so if Krishna's on our side, wherever Krishna is, it says victory is. Or you have that example of Garuda, right? The young sparrow said, "Oh, the ocean swallowed my eggs, and what can I do?" Garuda said, "Okay, I'll help you." And he was threatening the ocean. If you don't give me these eggs, then whatever he was going to do, I don't know exactly what, but swallowed up. Yeah. So the ocean was in fear of Garuda, so he said, "Okay," and he gave the eggs back. So it may seem impossible, and in many and on some level, if we don't surrender, specifically if we don't surrender to Krishna, it is impossible. Mama maya adhyatya, it's impossible. So, but if we surrender to Krishna, then it's very possible. So we should try to do that. So does anybody have any comments or questions in relation to this? Okay.
I just have a quick comment about the Dalai Lama. Oh,
Okay.
I didn't mean to say it. I didn't mean to say it.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
The cow, yeah. Now this was 3 years ago, but not. This is so loud. But certainly not more than that. So that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
Our Anuttama Prabhu, our Minister of Communications, a GBC member, he lives in Washington, D.C., and he goes to all these, that's his service, and he's quite high up. Anyway, this was some Senate, dinner meeting the Dalai Lama, and he was one of the guests invited, and he wound up sitting right next to the Dalai Lama. He's sitting next to the Dalai Lama. And, they're chit-chatting. You're sitting there talking this and that, And he says, I just have to mention, I'm just curious that you've ordered you've got the beef plate there, And, I thought, and, he makes the presentation that, that Buddha was ahimsa, nonviolence, protecting animals. It just seems a little, I'm just curious, how is it possible? Dalai Lama's answer was, well, I'm renounced. I accept, I'm a monk, and I accept whatever comes before me. You have attachments, you have criteria, and I just, I'm equipoised. I'm neutral. Of course, if you pass stool in his bowl, he wouldn't eat that. So let's see how neutral he really is. But not to be graphic there. But Anuttama didn't say that. Anuttama said, being a gentleman, Anuttama said, but the thing is, that was his argument. Hey, I don't distinguish, I don't make criteria, I'm a monk, whatever comes in my bowl, so they serve me beef, I'm eating beef. If they serve vegetarian, I'm eating vegetarian. But Anuttama's no fool. He said, on the RSVP card, when you got your invitation, you could check veg or non-veg. You had an option. He said, I know, I checked veg. You could have checked veg. So you chose to eat meat. The Dalai Lama said, oh, I need to finish my tea, and turned his back.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Hmm.
And Anuttama's,
Yeah, Anuttama's.
Boy Scout, he's such a no question that he made it up or
Yeah.
embellished.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're welcome.
Now, in your presentation, it's relevant because we're getting to the point in so-called civilization that mothers don't have this type of affection for their children. I'm going to turn this off. Everybody's so unhappy, but because of the demoniac influence of the age,
Justice who just died.
Hmm.
and they don't think twice about killing the unborn child, or some women wouldn't have a problem, me or the child. Well, of course, me.
Yeah.
So that's less than animal
Yeah.
in many species.
Yeah.
So I can see the point about attachment being important for the performance of the duty to the child.
Yeah.
We can also make mention that it's that attachment that causes them to take another birth and remain in the cycle of misery, which you said takes place because of the relationship and attachment.
Yeah.
I even had the thought it's possible, if you've never seen a child that attached to, because 6 years old they're starting, if they've gone to school or whatever, they start to wean off from the mother, but could be a past life connection there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that happens, that they rotate a number of times together. Prabhupada said like that.
Yeah.
But did you want to tell that story, Prabhupada's sister? It's very nice, Maharaj.
Well, you tell. All I know is...
Okay, his sister, Bhishma, as we called her, she had a bum for a husband. He was a rogue. He would drink, and he was a womanizer, and... this relates to your grandmother. It's hard to imagine in our generation.
Yeah.
But previously, this idea of duty and divorce was not even an option if you go back far enough. They were religiously or pious enough. So she just continued to serve her husband, cooking him prasad. Oh no, he even wanted meat.
Yeah.
He was a meat eater.
I think she would cook him fish.
Yeah. And everybody in the family was, why do you stay with this bum? But she stuck it out, and finally her service attitude and her devotion to Guru and Krishna and wishing for his welfare melted his heart, and he gave up his bad habits and followed her example in taking to devotional service.
Nice. Happy ending.
Prabhupada said, just to keep it more, sometimes they would have like a dinner party, or the family get together, relatives or neighbors or whatever, and he wouldn't show up, and she would make excuses for him. She'd say, he's just now coming, or he's not feeling well, like that. And then, just as Raj said, at the end, Prabhupada said that his sister was a great devotee, And he said the husband became a devotee of her, and she was a devotee of Krishna, so it all worked out fine. And he became, like Raj said, he actually had a change of heart.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking staying with a, you know, man is beating you, or whatever. We're not talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there was this devotee, he was like really, really like a big, I mean, he had the attraction to Krishna consciousness, but he's also struggled very heavily with his mind and senses, and he was getting into heavy drugs and going in and out of jail, and just really troubled kid. And but his mother was always just so like forgiving of him. I was like surprised. I mean, yeah, like to the degree that people be like, oh man, like he's taking advantage of you. You know, he's like, you know, a lot of people say, get lost, man. You're a complete nonsense. I mean, because he was really bad. But over time, he actually became. From what I could see, it seemed that that mother, that help, actually helped him greatly. I mean, right now he's initiated. You know, he's a brahmachari in the world somewhere. You know, he's doing okay. And you know, so it's nice. But yeah, you're saying the attachment. Yeah, the attachment. If it's that attachment, family attachment. It is, or any attachments. That's what keeps us in the cycle of birth and death. So, of course, although on some, like you're saying, it's natural and it's, you know, good, you know, for performing a particular duty one has to perform or may have to perform. But ultimately, the attachment to Krishna should be like that. Means that just as he can't live without his mother for a moment, so he should be attached to Krishna like that. You can't live without Krishna for a moment. Actually, we were reading last night in Krishna book, saying that the bees, I think it was around Balarama or Krishna's garland, but the bees, they surrounding the garland, and it said, oh, they must be great devotees. Yeah, Krishna's girlfriend Balarama. So they must be great devotees who cannot leave a moment without your association, so therefore they've taken the form of bees and they're going around your garland like that, you know. So, yeah. But, Macy, she's still, I mean, she has a nice picture in her room. She sent me a picture. It's a picture of Gaur and Nitai, their faces. I think it's in Vrindavan, yeah. So she has, some, you know, inclination. And Kingsley, he's like, my mother has an altar, you know, Jagannath Baldev's pictures and this and that. So she's training him up, you know, how to be a little pujari. He comes and offers.
He did a good job with you. Huh? He made her. Yeah, but you gotta give the mother credit. You know, she raised him.
And so Kingsley, he brings a little cup of water, you know, gives it to the deities. I don't know, but he's maybe a little flower, you know, incense, this and that. So we'll see how it works out. She was telling him, oh, you have to, when you become 18, you have to, you know, be in the brahmachari ashram at least for 3 months. You know, she's telling him that. Anyways.
They do that in Burma. The Buddhists, everyone spends some time in it. You know, every practicing speaking, every Buddhist in Burma, and it's limited. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a month.
Yeah.
But they all have to spend some time living in the ashram.
Yeah. All right, Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki